parts per million. The 5 parts is our triggering threshold for the MHS patient, right? You put these on in your time there, you notice instantaneously you have a drop and you're negligible. The report that you read in the study, it's under 1 part per million, okay, at 10 liters per minute, in under a minute. 90 seconds was on one machine, so they say under 90 seconds. You lower your flow at 45 minutes. The reason they lowered it at 45 minutes was because that's how they designed the primary research that they conducted, showing the lowering of the flow initially without the filters and with the filters. They used a flask of olive oil, as we know, to represent that redistribution phase and compartment model. When they lowered the flow to 3 liters, they saw a bump, but that bump in every single gas was still under 1 part per million. Okay? That's pretty profound. They take them off at 90 minutes, and you get the surge, showing that you were showing 2 things. You have bound or prevented the patient from getting a volatile anesthetic under 5 parts per million, a safe anesthetic if you are susceptible to malignant hyperthermia. But also, when you take them off, you still, in your anesthesia machine, have a reservoir of volatile anesthetic that will surge, that will go up. And so this, to me, it proves kind of 2 things. Not only the efficacy of these activated charcoal filters, but, wow, these newer machines, they do have, at a low flow, a reservoir that is a potential catastrophic sentinel event. And now that we know this, wow, I don't want to be a part of that. Is it a new standard? Well, it's a recommendation. It's not a standard. In the sake of standard, M-House doesn't also, M-House definitely recommends them as one of the 4 for your preparation of your anesthesia machine for a malignant hyperthermia susceptible patient. In an acute crisis, do they recommend their use? They do not recommend their use. They do not recommend their use, which is, okay, that's fine. They recommend don't delay the entry, which I cannot disagree with at all. The entry is your however, research shows that length of time exposed to a triggering agent will have a higher incidence of mortality, meaning that the longer that vapor, or should you just continue to give sex because you want to on a patient, the more you give of either, the worse outcome you're going to have. Another guy I met in, he's actually, he's a program director of an anesthesia school in Iowa or Indiana, but they had these filters. They used them in an acute crisis. And what he told me was that as soon as they placed them on, they noticed a decrease in the end-tidal CO2. And I asked him if he's going to write it up, and he's like, I don't think so. And you should write that up, or I would write that up. You should definitely write that up. And so I think you might be seeing that come forth, but to me, what does that show? It shows that these work in acute crisis. They're removing the agent, of course. You're having decreased end-tidal CO2, which, when we reflecting that, we're getting rid of that hypermetabolic state. And of course, we're treating with the insulin. But if you had these in your bottom shelf, top shelf, somewhere in the room, and your patient has an episode of malignant hyperthermia, call for help, get the dantrolene in 20 seconds. I'm not the most, I'm clumsy. I'm just going to try to say it a better way. I'm a clumsy individual, and I could put both of these on the inspiratory and expiratory limbs in less than 20 seconds. So while someone's mixing dantrolene, I'm putting these on the inspiratory and expiratory limb, and together, that you're going to just The supplemental oxygen port that you have on the side of the anesthesia machine, is it possible for cross-contamination for a volatile anesthetic to be in that? And I said, I don't think so. I will know before December for boards, and going back to Tim's class, I don't think it is.
It comes off before the main supply, before you get near the vaporizer.
So it's in front of the vaporizers. So the auxiliary port is in front of the vaporizer. It's downstream as a safety mechanism through the ASTM. Okay. So no.
That's what I thought, but
I would-
what you said, I don't know.
I really didn't know. Yes.
Look at this.
I just want to know, how long have the activated charcoal filters have been proven effective? Say, for instance, you have a lengthy case.
How
How long have they proven effective?
they're proven effective for 60 minutes. Well, they're proven. The manufacturer says you change them every 60 minutes if during the case. So if you have a patient that has MHS, you change them every 60 minutes. And however, you look at the research that they have, and that's the study. That's the manufacturer of anesthetics. You look at the research that did this study, and they go long after that.
Follow-up question.
Sure.
My next question is, how long is the shelf life? So if your facility purchased them, how long are they effective on the shelf?
I asked that question to the sales and marketing and kind of VP guy of Dynasthetics, the manufacturer for these vapor clean filters, and I think they had 12 years or something on there. Don't quote me. Thinking of maybe decreasing that, which from a sales standpoint, that's a great idea. But if you look at activated charcoal, and if it was in some airtight seal exposed to, I mean, it's not really magic. You said it was, you can have them for 30 years, really, if they're not exposed to the element. Because they use them in, when we send our astronauts up into space, they're using activated charcoal. When we deep sea dive, and not just like the casual, I'm going to go to Catalina Island, that underwater using heliox and all that, or different nitrous, whatever. They're using activated charcoal, and there's other applications that use it for a lot longer than the manufacturer recognizes. I don't have that, and that's not a cop out. I hope
It's a cop out.
it's a cop out. Good question.
Is this reuptake of volatile anesthetic, is it related to the fact that the vaporizers are disconnected and there's a dead space of volatile anesthetic there at the vaporizer junction? Whereas if there was a faux vaporizer connected to the system to allow the oxygen or first gas flow to go through that interlocking mechanism, because as we know, when we disconnect our vaporizers, you can't give any vapor through that.
Right.
So as like an IV, there's often a little bit of propofol right there in the
Right.
hub of the injection port, whereas there should be volatile anesthetic. So why isn't there any access to that spot? Because that's to me, because the uptake of the vapor is not because it's absorbed into the metal or
Not the metal, but there are quite a lot of membranes, okay, of your bellows, things that, there's studies, or this study too, shows that they took a look of how you actually would clean a machine. You'd have to take apart the anesthesia machine, autoclave it for over 104 minutes, autoclave, to get rid of the volatile anesthetic that has been impregnated or is soluble in
is that the majority of that,
That's that.
or is it in that spot of the vaporizer
Yeah.
connection? Because to me, it seems logical that that's a that there's a dead space there that exists based on just people who do plumbing or do mechanics, gas flow is, that's there, and that interface is going to be unable to be cleaned if you don't have gas flow going through the import and the
I don't think so. I mean, the study, I would. 1, 2, 3. The third bullet point down, if you have the handouts, this is done in 2001 by Bergenhire or Stoker and Weston-Kale. They do the real deal study. Because they're not giving them today. They're doing this test, and they have a flask of olive oil. They have multiple machines that they've tried this on, and they show that it's not, I can't explain to you right now how whether it's the plumbing issue that you could just maybe flush through, if I'm understanding your question correctly, it's due to the soluble components that make up the newer anesthesia machines. Your older anesthesia machines really have the luxury of your plastic, of your rubbers, etc. And now that we do, or maybe they're cheaper than metal, copper is really cheap, right? No, it's not, but not that there's copper in machines, but we've transitioned to this cheaper is better, so plastic and polymer, or that thing. Aside, one of the flip side of that coin is that it will absorb volatile anesthetic, and that's what they say is